Hey guys, welcome back to another how to draw video, or learn to draw video, sorry. In the last video, we did a 1 point perspective drawing, and it was the marketplace. You guys remember this was the drawing that we did. It's a 3 by 6 inches for the marketplace. It was a two-part video. So now we're going to work on what I wanted to do. Where is my... We're going to work on the temple. And I think I have shown you guys what that was going to look like. As a quick reminder, just pull it up real quick, the thumbnail that I had for it. So this was the thumbnail that we had for this drawing. So we're going to work on this one. And we're going to keep it in a square format. So these are some of the references that I pulled up for this particular image that we're going to be working on. Now, normally I would say definitely grab more images, but because we're just kind of laying something out that's very basic, not a lot of detail, then I'm just sticking with this. This, of course, and I've gone over this in the first video, is with some of the references that I pulled for the market. Just to kind of get a feel. And now we're going to work with the temple. So I'm going to place this up here so that way I can see my references. I'm going to adjust you guys. We are going to work on some thumbnails first, and then we'll kind of go from there. We will go from there. Let me just readjust some stuff here. Get some of these papers moved out the way. Kind of clear up my workspace. All right, so put this here for right now. Trying to clear some of the stuff that I have that is not needed. So that way my desk is clean. Some stuff I think I'm just gonna have to toss. I did go ahead and warm up. So this was my warm up that I worked on. Some lines, some curves, some waves, some ovals, and some circles. So we're going to do this. Take a piece of paper here. I'm going to tape this up a little bit more so that way I don't have to adjust the camera too much and you guys can still see what I am drawing. Actually, I'll do this. I'll make the paper straight and then I'll adjust the camera because the camera is showing it a little off, I think, but the paper is not off. My camera is just slightly off. So adjust that. There we go. I'm going to use my mechanical pencil. Or I could use a regular pencil. We'll use my F pencil. This regular F pencil. And I've got my click eraser. So yeah, let's go over what we'll need. So since I'm using my artistic pencil instead of a mechanical pencil, The things that I'm going to be needing is, of course, paper. You'll need multiple sheets because we'll have, or you can do, we'll see if we can do everything on one piece, like the thumbnails and stuff. So you'll need a pencil, whether it be a regular pencil, mechanical pencil, or an artistic pencil. If it's an artistic pencil, or even if it's a regular pencil, whatever, you're gonna need erasers. You can pick, or an eraser, it doesn't have to be multiple, but some type of eraser that you'll use. So we have these two. I also actually went and finally bought replacements for my electric eraser, which I do have. I don't know if I ever put this in the optional supplies, but I have this eraser. I think it was like 20 bucks. 20 bucks for this one. I had to tape it because the part here that holds this in place wasn't the best. So any type of slight bump or whatever, the batteries would come out. So I was like, to prevent that, we're just gonna wrap it. So shit. So I've got that. I haven't changed these batteries since I've gotten them, so hopefully I don't think there's any issues with them. But I just recently bought replacer fillers for the eraser. I don't think I'm going to use it, but these can be helpful if you're trying to get small detail. So let's go ahead, and you'll need a ruler as well. I'm going to get, since this is a small, we're going to be doing a small drawing, I'm going to use a little ruler here. This is a 12-inch ruler. You guys have seen my larger one, I think is, what is that one? I also have this one. This is a 18-inch ruler. So, yeah. So this is, as I'm working on larger pieces or like my comic, I'll pull out this bad boy because it definitely helps when I'm trying to get my panels down. So 16 is either you can use something like this, or I do have, which is also useful, like the 6-inch ruler as well. So actually we'll use a 6-inch ruler. So we're gonna place out some thumbnails, and we'll do a square. We'll do a square illustration. And I'm thinking of having a low horizon line, so worm's eye view. I'm gonna scoot in so you guys can see a little better. But thinking of maybe doing a worm's eye view. So we'll maybe do something like here. And then something like that. And then what I want to do is maybe do like maybe floating squares, which means this goes like that. Kind of give an idea. I'm just gonna go with basic shapes, and of course we can do something later. And maybe these are like floating rocks or boulders. Maybe this guy's here. Maybe something like that. Might have to pull up some references of rocks, honestly. And maybe there's... These pencils need to be sharpened, I think. Some type of... Let me just do this to kind of... I'm not a big fan of this one, but that's okay. Let's go into the next thumbnail. Let me see what I kind of got going on. Got this huge. Let's see what I want to do. So maybe there's like this statue as something here. And then, so it'd actually be a lot smaller if we're talking about it's in the distance. And then maybe these are huge pillars here. Actually, there's a huge pillar in the foreground. And then more pillars here. And then there's a person right here. Maybe these are corroding or something. I do have temple stuff here. Something like that. Or let's look at what we get here. Let's do another thumbnail. I am actually looking at my references now. Still want to do like a low vanishing point here. Outside of the idea, I don't really plan too much else. I want to kind of do everything with you guys. Of course, like you can definitely do the stairs here. You can, of course, plan your stuff better. Maybe this opens up to the outside or to like another area, and then this would be like the ceiling, and then this would be like the floor area, maybe. I'm just kind of roughing it out here. Nothing set in stone. And then maybe along those pillars, maybe this can go in. Something like that. I don't know. I have no idea. Nothing set in stone here. And then maybe just to show how big it is, we're going to see the full figure in this image. So you can really see how small he is compared to everything else. Maybe there's holes, or maybe there's bricks or whatever missing out the floor, crumbled up, whatever, I don't know. Do one more, I think one more thumbnail here. Of course, I would recommend if you're trying to make a larger image, or a more detailed image, you would want to try to plan this out as much as possible. I do want to keep a low horizon line because I want this to have this like massive feel to it, as if this is like a grand place for us or for the viewer, and that this is compared to the figure that we're going to have in here, that it looks like the character is extremely small and everything is extremely huge to this person. And then maybe something like that. So I want the figure here, and drawing a figure immediately helps with scale. Because if, let's draw, I'm gonna draw this so you guys can see. If we draw a box, right? I'm just gonna go here, so we have a box, and say we draw, where's that postcard I had? I had a postcard, I don't know where I put it. That's fine. But say we have this box here. Ooh, Jesus, just broke it. The top, whatever. But we want to show how big or small this box is. Well, if we want to show that it's really big, we want to show that this box is really big, then what we can do, let me darken this up a little bit. We want to show that this box is really big. Let me do this. Oh, there we go. That light is shining too bright on it. Then what we can do is we can draw a figure extremely small to it. So that shows that this box, I don't know why I feel like my thing isn't focusing correctly. But it shows that this box here is now extremely big, right? compared to this figure. But if we want to draw it really big, or we want to make the figure seem really big and the box seem small, then we can draw this figure next to it. And now, yeah, the box still seems big, but not as big compared to this one, because this box is still about waist height. So still a big size box, but not as big if you compare it to this guy here. Another way I can do this, let's draw something where I can play with the scale a little bit better. I mean, I'm going to get my mechanical pencil out so I can draw a little bit better here. And use a little bit darker lid. All right, so let's do this. Let's do just a circle. So if I'm going to draw a figure on each side, just so that way you guys can see what I mean, what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to, let's see if this will work. I'm going to cover this guy up and cover this guy up so that way we don't have that distracting. So we got a guy here, and I'm going to say this ball is the same height as him. That's going to be a pretty big ball if we're comparing it to the height of this guy, right? But say, because this is when we're going to say this is the ground floor. This could be a boulder, it could be whatever, right? And then if we cover this guy up, we're going to say this is a person who is 6 foot even. Just make it an even number, 6 foot even, right? That's a huge boulder. Now, if we cover this guy up, that means that boulder is 6 feet tall. So if we cover this guy up, and now we say that we draw another guy, we want to play with the scale. And now we've got this guy who's extremely tall, and this is the ground plane. His head's, I think, a little bit too small for the thing, but whatever. But this is guy, right? And we say this guy is 6 foot. Well, that gives you comparison about, this could be like a large, like, beach ball versus, or like a small, I don't know, some type of rock that's like a small boulder in the ground, versus if we compare it to this guy and he's 6 foot, that's a huge boulder or ball, right? That's literally a human size ball. So you can play with scale with anything. If we're doing a rock or a boulder, right? This is a boulder, some type of rock here. And we've got someone here. Well, now he could possibly use this boulder for a lookout. But if we've got someone who is here, and then let's see. Here, now this is something like he can just jump on versus use for a lookout. So putting a figure or some type of animal that is well known into your environments can really help with scale. So going back to this, So, what was I about to do here? Let's see. Here, and then maybe some type of this. And maybe these are extremely tall. And this is some type of fantasy world, so we don't know who may have built this, or maybe it was a underground tunnel, and after centuries and centuries it collapsed on itself, or what, I don't know. Or maybe this is like a secret passage from somewhere into something, I don't know. But something like that, which is originally something like I had. What I want to do, I'm going to do another thumbnail over here. Do like something here. Then could do something like this. It's like floating. Like floating pieces, but I think that's not going to give me the look that I want. Not with this particular image. Like debris. I'm not really feeling this one, which would be like that one, so no. I'm liking this one more, so most likely we'll go with this one. Alright, so we're gonna do like a 4x4, I think will be good size. Try to draw these lines as straight as possible. Alright, so we have a 4" by 4" drawing. I'm going to sharpen this pencil real quick. I'm going to go back to my F pencil here. I'm just gonna rough it up. Let me rough it out first. My big boy. Hey, big boy. So I've got 7 at my feet here. All right, so we're gonna rough out the fact that the horizontal line is maybe here. Yeah, we'll do. Like here maybe. And then let's see, like this is, we'll do with the center point for the vanishing point here. I'll do like I did my last one, where I just roughed in these lines for the grid. You don't have to, but this helps me kind of get some stuff figured out here. And this grid doesn't have to be perfect, but there we go. So vanishing point's right there. Horizon line is here. We're gonna roughen this image. So let me see what we got going on here. I know that I've got roughly, we're gonna rough this in here. Another vanishing point here. So we're gonna rough out here. I'm gonna say this is like the ceiling area. Actually, I want to bring this down more. And when we need more straight lines, we'll go ahead and pull out that ruler here. And I want this one to be like this is like the, this is the, I don't want the outside or the wall to end directly on the vanishing point, so I'm gonna bring it up some, because then I want the outside part where the statue is to be out here. And remind you, this is in the distance, so that means that this is like a huge thing to be able to see it from where we're at this size. So I'm just gonna go here, rough the lines here, and we're just gonna, because I want to know where that line ends here, make sure it's even here. And then what we're gonna do is, I don't think how I'm gonna do this. I'll figure that out later. I'll figure that side out in a second. So what we're gonna do with that foreground, I want some type of column here on the foreground area. So I'm just gonna do it this way. Just kind of helps frame in the image a little bit more. And then from there, now we can go ahead and kind of do it this way. And I don't know if I wanted to expand it out, I could, but we're just gonna do it this way. Then maybe there's another thing here. And there's a scientific way on how to plot out these lines here, but that's not the focus right now. So maybe later on, if we want to, we can go over that, but that's not the focus here. Maybe I want, this is a wall, so what I can do is bring these out, or maybe the pillars, do like a half circle stick out from the wall. So it's like a design within the wall itself. I'm doing so many feet out or some distance out from the wall. Remember, we're still pressing very lightly. We're not pressing hard on anything. And we'll do one more here. Remember, as things go into the distance, they get smaller. And I know these aren't quite portioned out correctly, but remember to try to make that a conscious thing. As you're drawing things into the distance, you want to make them smaller. Depending on the scale of that particular item or object that you're drawing. Depending on how big you want to make it seem. And then what we'll do is we'll just draw the figure, trying to rough it in here. So now that we have the figure drawn in, you can see how small this figure is compared to this grand entryway or exitway, whatever that they're hall, whatever that they're going out into a different area. So now that we have this roughed in, I'm not going to erase anything. If you want to, you guys can, of course, try to lighten everything up with your eraser, or kind of just go over everything, erase as you hit certain areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flesh out this horizon line. I'm just going to make it a little bit cleaner. I know where the vanishing point is. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and figure out this section here. I know this is the area. I know where this is where it's going to end, right? So I want to kind of get an idea here. And I'm pressing a little bit harder than what I did when I was sketching, but I'm not pressing too hard. So I know that's where it's going to end. So let's go ahead and get this side roughly. I'll go in just a little bit more, as long as it's meeting that vanishing point. So like right here, right? And then we're going to draw this line here. I'm just going to go up a little bit more to where these meet. And oh my gosh, what's his name? Oh my gosh, Marcus Motu Mestre. I'm just gonna pull it out. Marcus Motu Mestre. I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. In his frame perspective 1. One of the things that he talks about is, so that I can find it. Give me a second. But he talks about when he's creating this image here. But he talks about sketching. He's like, so it says the first sketch of the previous illustration was done by putting down the basic ideas. He actually did this on a restaurant's napkin or a children's menu. He wasn't quite sure. Then going home and starting to polish up the idea a bit more. Remember, the perspective structure that the illustration is built upon must serve the artwork and not the other way around. Always sketch the idea first from a loose artistic standpoint, and then work the right perspective structure that will support your idea based on said preliminary sketch. AKA, sketch what you want first, sketch what you're trying to convey, and then figure out the perspective that you're going to need to use in order to create the image that you're trying to create. Don't draw the perspective and then make the image fit around the perspective. So what we're going to do, because I want this to look like we've got some maybe some indent on the wall, or there's like a, I can't think of the one I'm trying to convey here, but hopefully you guys will see what I mean. We're lining everything up based on the perspective here, or the 1-point perspective that I've already drawn in. Remember, you can add things, take things out, change things how you want. This is, at the end of the day, your practice, and this is just to get you used to drawing perspective. And then maybe we'll do maybe and I'm adding a little bit of rendering as I'm already doing this, but that's okay. Then maybe some rendering down here on this side. Nothing too crazy, just to kind of add a little bit of value in this. And maybe bring it up a little bit more. Halfway. All right, so now that we have that, remember we've got these that are coming in the front. So actually what I'll do, since this is going here, maybe there's another one here. So what I'm gonna do, instead of having this one come out, this one, I'm just gonna have it as if it's just coming out from the wall like that. We'll do it that way. So let's do the ground where this is coming from. So here, actually what I want to do is actually bring this in just a little bit more. Do I? No, I don't. Just thinking about it, which means I'm probably gonna have to lose this particular one, which is fine. Just roughing this in a little bit, and then we can draw these lines down. Trying to keep the lines as straight as possible. And I could pull out additional tools to help with the parallel lines, but I don't really think it's necessary. And then just gonna clean this up just a little bit. 7, stop it. And so you got that. There we go. Oopsies. Let's go ahead and do this, and then we can line the perspective point to this to figure out how wide it's going to be. We don't have to necessarily go from here and then out. We can do this to kind of make sure we're getting that wide enough to make sure that's the proper perspective. And as you can see, it is off from what we originally sketched, right? And that's okay. Now, if I wanted to make it fit a little bit better, what I could do at this point would be to make this entryway or this exit, bring this in more, and then it would come in more. But that's not necessary. It's not necessary for me to do that. And then also, because this is what I'm trying to portray in this, technically it's still a sketch, it's not really a full-blown illustration, is that this is a huge temple-esque type situation or location, and it could have been built by a wealthy civilization that took years upon years upon years to do, or it could have been created by larger beings. In comparison, to this figure, because I mean, we could do this. I mean, this could be an elf. It could be a dwarf. It could be, I mean, how interesting would it be if this was technically considered a giant on like Earth? And if this is a giant, we're talking about 10 feet, 12 feet tall. And this is how small it is compared to these, and how tall are the beings that possibly walked this hall. Being able to really explore things, and kind of think outside the box, right? So what I'm gonna do now is, this is the hall. Let's go ahead and do this, where we're going to, I'll figure out how I want to do this. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna draw another line here. Actually, let me do this. Yeah, I'm just gonna draw another line. So I'm gonna go from here. And this is a guesstimation, no type of measurements here. But you're gonna see what I'm gonna do with this. Because this is gonna help me indicate how wide I want these to come out. So I'm gonna have to move this up. So if this is the actual wall, this is the ground, what I'm gonna do, because I want this to come out, maybe I'll do one here. And technically I know it's not, the perspective is way off, but that's okay. Maybe do something like this, just to kind of help with being able to tell where these at. And then of course, like if I wanted to, this is where I could pull out the ruler again and be like, okay, actually let's do that. Let me get my eraser here. And what we're gonna do, erase this, erase that, erase this back here. I'm not gonna do the whole figuring out the exact stuff, because like I said, this isn't a full-blown on illustration, but I'm gonna kind of divide where I want these to go. So we're gonna have one that's gonna end here. Let me do this. This is confusing me. Do it this way. Take these out here. Move that. There we go. So what we'll do is we'll do one like a little bit above this line. So like here. I'm going to go up slightly. And then we'll do another spacing. We'll do a little bit more. Slightly up. And then go here. That'll be the last one. So this, and technically if I wanted to find the center, remember if you want to find the center of a square or rectangle, go here. You of course you would use a ruler so that way these lines actually match up. You would go from end to end, and that middle line is going to be the indicator of where the center is. And technically if I wanted to, I could do the same thing here, same thing in perspective. If it's in perspective, horrible example here with no straight lines, but you would take here, go here, you would go here, you would go here, and then this would be your middle. So that's how you would do that. So if I wanted to find the middle of these, I could go here. Of course, I would use a ruler if you want to be more accurate. And then this would be my center. And what I'll do is I'll do that so that way you guys can kind of see. Go here, here, and then here. Then I've got another one back here. Kind of guesstimating here, here. Another one here, boom, boom. And then you've got this one back here. Same there. So what we're going to do is now I'm going to do the curve. Because I know where the middle is. This is the middle, then here. Now this is going to go here. Same thing here. And I think this is the curve here. And then there's this one here. And then just flush these out here. So what I want to do is take my ruler here, and I'm gonna go from here where this line is here. Actually, I'll go here. I got stuff on the back of my ruler. So from where it would hit the wall, and then on this side here, most likely, or technically where it would stick out the furthest. I'm going to draw this lightly because I think I would actually see more of this as well. There we go, like that. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And then I'm going to start erasing soon, so that way it's a little bit clearer for me and you guys what's going on here. So I'm going to take this eraser, and I'm going to start erasing this stuff. I can erase that horizon line English, because I don't need it in this particular part. I don't need it in this area either because that's a wall. And then here, same thing. And remember, if you need to, just erase what you can remember. So that way, like if I'm doing this one, I need to erase this. I know I erase a little bit of that arc there, but I can remember that. So I'm just going to erase. That's the only part that I'm erasing. And I fix that. And then erase this just to make sure there's nothing else. And then just erase this part. And of course, because these are straight lines, I can just go back in with an eraser. And I eraser a pencil and flush out that line. Put that line back in. So there we go. And then we've got this one back here, remember? So we're gonna flush out that line too. I think it's right here. All right, and then what I can do is erase this before I even draw it in. But I know that the other line is gonna go here. Like that. And for these tarts, I need to actually do the top as well. Yeah, that would have to do the tops as well. This is completely busted because technically this is not gonna go well. So I did not do this one correctly, but whatever. So we're gonna measure out where I think these would go. Because if they're at the top, these are gonna go here. So I didn't measure them out correctly because if I go here, or is this angle just messed up? I'm not tripping. Let's do this. Oh, here it is. I should have planned this one out better, but I did not. Because with this going up, guess what? These top parts are also gonna have curves as well. That would curve out. But because these are not circle, these are not done correctly. These lines, the tops would look completely off. Because instead of them, what in the world was it? Just this one? Am I tripping? It's just because this one's messed up, that's why. So the back one I'm not going to worry about, but these other ones, they're not interfering with the actual roof, so you wouldn't see them. But the tops would be something like this, and then you would have something like that. So of course, if this was a straight line, right, and then you would have this. So it would look something like that if these were properly spaced out, but they're not. So I'm not going to worry too much about the top part because it would look completely incorrect if I did the top to that last one, and even possibly the second one, just because of the how I did the spacing here, because technically these should have been I should have actually drawn these out and did an actual square like this, and then figure out that circle and then go from there. But I didn't do that, so these are going to be off, and we're just going to keep it that way. Seven, what are you showing off? He's playing with one of his toys. All right. So we're just going to, okay, he's showing on his mom. So we're just going to continue to draw these up here, and then this one, and then you would see maybe this one here. We'll draw the lines in or we'll start erasing the lines a little bit more in a second. See, because this one you would have seen the top if it was done correctly to help with that. But because we didn't properly draw this with the spacing and everything, we're not going to draw the tops. And we're going to erase these lines that just showed how much it stuck out. And there is a formula to figuring like how to properly distance equal parts, something equal parts as it recedes into the background. We just haven't gone over it. If you guys want to learn more into that, you can definitely check out the books that I've recommended when it comes to perspective. It will teach you how to do that. Specifically the frame perspective. I don't know if Perspective Made is easy. I don't know why I can't talk today. I don't know if Perspective Made Easy handles that. I'm double checking real quick. Because you might be able to get that information from this book. But I want to be able to let you guys know for sure versus hoping that you get that. I know it talks about perspective, figures in perspective. 7. Interiors. Eye level, finding the center. Need to. Okay, there's that. Okay, so yeah, there is a way to do that. In this book. Dividing circles. Let me see. Don't do it. No. So it's talking about like the use of diagonals. It talks about let me see, finding center, spacing and perspective. You have two posts of the same height. So similar to this, if you were to draw the parallel lines along perspective, how to figure that out. This would be one of these will be, so it does mention it. Very brief, but it's very, I think it's very straightforward for the most part on how to do that. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? But circles, dividing a surface. That's dealing with like columns and windows, or yeah, tiled flooring. So it does touch base on it, but the frame perspective, I think, goes into more detail about spacing things in perspective. And I think it explains a little bit better, but that's just me. So now that we have this here, I'm gonna fix this up a little bit. Sorry, you guys, you can hear Seven chewing on his bone there, his toy bone, but it keeps him busy while I work on this. I am going to erase this a little bit. And then, so we still have this outside area, right? So we still have to do that part. What we're going to do is, pull up my reference. What we're going to do is, I want this to be like, you guys can see that this is something here. And then, like I said, because it's so far away, that there's not gonna be a lot of detail going on here. And then maybe what I'll do is go here, and then like that, and something there, and then maybe there's like a figure, some type of statue that's going on there that you really wouldn't see because of how far we are. And then from there, maybe there's stairs. I'm going to erase a lot of this stuff here. That's not really needed. We are going to put that horizon line back. 7 now. Don't you do it. I know you're thinking about it. I know you're thinking about it, and you have to wait because I'm not done. Just thinking about jumping on my lap here. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to... Nope. No. No. Nope. I know. I know. What you like? No. Stop. He's going to try to jump on my lap. So what we're going to do is... So I said no. Oh, sure. So what we're going to do is here. Ooh. We're going to go here. And we're just going to draw some lines in there. Boom. And then this is, say, outside, right? So then what we're going to do, because I'm going to say this is going to open up into the outside. So maybe we'll have some clouds here. I guess maybe something like that. I don't know. And maybe some bushes here. And we'll bring the bushes down so that way it doesn't just look like it's just resting on the horizon line, because that'd be kind of weird. And then what we'll do is we'll maybe do some more bushes here, because guess what, this is, the bushes are in front of the stairs. So, and what we'll do is we'll just add some. So here, maybe, yeah, we'll just keep it that way. What else still want to do? Let's continue to add some stuff in the background. Stop. Stop. You're gonna hear 7 barking for a little bit, and then maybe we'll just put something along these lines. I don't know. There's writing or something. I don't know, but some type of design on these pillars. That's going down. Actually, this here needs to be erased. Oh, I messed up because that's a line for the pillars. Thought I did that wrong. Okay. I did do it wrong. I think there's the lines is too. Another pillar here, even though this one's all messed up because of the top, but whatever. This will be the other pillar, right? And then to help lay out some more textures here, what we're going to do is I'm just going to draw a little textures here to indicate that this is some type of tiled flooring. And we're just going to do not the whole thing, but roughly. like this. All right, and then just to kind of help with some tones, we're just going to lightly go over this. And then maybe some tonal here, some tones. And help differentiate the pillars from the walls a little bit. Especially because the pillars I didn't do correctly. And we'll just do the top a little bit here. The top I would make it a little bit darker just because maybe the only light that we're getting is from the outside here. So maybe the back side is darker as you come into the tunnel versus the front here, and then which means this will be a little bit darker too. And if you really want to, then that means this part of the these pillars would have a little bit of tone to them as well, because light wouldn't be hitting that side. Alright, there's my 1-point perspective tunnel-esque type drawing sketch, because I would still consider this like a sketch. I wouldn't consider this like I would not consider this an illustration. I wouldn't even consider this an illustration either. Like these are still like, I would still consider sketches to where I'm still trying to figure out stuff, trying to see if this image would work for me before making it a larger image. So, and at that point, that's where I would really want to maybe do individual studies on actual pillars and designs and anything else I would want to try to really incorporate into this, even like texture studies of maybe brick or floor tiling or stone floors, things like that. So hope this has been beneficial for you guys. Let's talk about your assignment. So let's remove all this stuff here, and then we'll get into your assignment for the next, I want to say, I'm going to give you guys like 2 weeks to do. My candle went out and burned out. All right, so let's talk. I'm gonna remove this real quick. Let's talk about assignments, shall we? As soon as I can get a piece of paper out. Actually, I'll do it on this one. I'll do it on the back of my, actually, no, I'm not going to do it on the back of that. I want you guys for your assignment, this is here. So for your assignment, I want you guys to do at 1 point, because we've just been working on 1 point perspective. Right? I want you to do 3 sketches similar to what we've done here with this one and this one, right? Of, I'm going to say, we'll do a library. Do one, at least a library. And then the other 2, your choice. So the other 2, I want it to be like, but I need it to be interior. I want it to be some type of interior, or a building involved. So either interior or buildings, because that way it'll help you focus on the 1 point perspective. Because if you're doing like a environment where it's just like mountains or rocks and stuff, I feel like it might be a little bit harder to really practice doing 1 point perspective on that. I really want you guys to have stuff where you really have to have a vanishing point and you're lining things up to that vanishing point. So that way you can tell if it's not done correctly. As you were able to tell, I was clearly able to tell very quickly that when it got to these columns that I did not do the perspective correctly when it came to the top and the bottoms, because of the bottom part here. These should have gotten small. That spacing that I had for the columns should have gotten smaller as I went further back. But because I didn't, it completely threw the proportions off. So, yeah. So either with 3 sketches, 1 being a library, because you guys have seen the reference that I've collected with that. And then, so you can do however you want to do it, just some type of library interior. The vanishing point can be, or the horizon line, it can be whatever you want. Where you want. And so within these sketches, I want you guys to at least pull up reference. You need to pull up reference. At least 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 6 images for each image that you'll be doing. So that way you have an idea of what you can play with within that particular drawing or sketch. So for each image, so 6 reference images for each image, for each sketch. And I want, I don't have anywhere where you guys can actually post stuff yet, but I would like you guys to at least do 4 thumbnails for each image, for each sketch, before you draw the final sketch. And the final sketch, it doesn't need to be big, but I want the image to at least be at least a 4-inch by 4-inch, if not bigger, but at least needs to be 4 inches by 4 inches, or even if it's not going to be, if you want to make it smaller on the length side, then I will be okay with 3 inches. But I still think if it's going to be 3 inches, if it's going to be 3 inches long this way, it needs to be at least 5 inches wide. So if you're going to do something smaller, it needs to be at least be a 3x5, or you can do like 4, like a 3x6, but at least a 4x4. Because I feel like that will at least give you enough space to really be able to work in a perspective and erase without having to really struggle. So at least 3 sketches, 1 point perspective, some type of interior or exterior. If you're going to do buildings, they can be exterior buildings, but it needs to be some type of building or interior, with at least one of them being a library. Or if you want to do something else, that's fine as well. But if you're having troubles trying to figure out other interiors, at least one could be a library. So, and I'll probably give you like 2 weeks to complete that. I figure, depending, each sketch might take you guys between an hour and a half to 3 hours, and that's including like the reference gathering, the thumbnailing, and then the sketching. It could take longer. Like, I'm just saying that should be about how much time you should plan on spending on per image without feeling like you're rushing. So I know I rush a little bit with drawing this one because I don't want to do like a 6-hour drawing to draw something out for you guys, especially because at some point in time it's just going to be pretty much a watch me draw after so long versus trying to explain certain things. So I hope this has been helpful. The next thing we'll move on to will be 2-point perspective drawings, or sketches. I'll say sketches because these aren't illustrations. And I don't want to keep saying illustrations or drawings. But we'll move on to like 2-point We'll move on to 2-point perspective sketches, and go from there. So I hope this has been beneficial, guys. If there's something you would like me to touch on when it comes to 1-point perspective that I have not touched on yet, or if you have any questions regarding 1-point perspective, let me know. I will either try to go ahead and answer those in the comments. If I need to make a video, I'll go ahead and do that. Or if I'm not quite sure, I will let you guys know that I'm not quite sure, and then see if I can point you in the right direction to where those resources are. If it's not something that I think I can learn within a short period of time and respond within a reasonable time frame. So yeah, that's all I've got for right now. Thank you guys so much for watching these videos, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.